Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another interesting machine on the VulnHub, which is MinU V2. I will put the link in the video below so that you can download it and play it on your own. This machine has a lot to do with another important exploitation technique, XXE injection, which is short for XML, external entity injection. You maybe have heard about this word before. However, possibly you don't know what this technique really means and how to, apply this technique in the real engagement. As I mentioned over and over again in my channel, the best approach to improve our cybersecurity skills is to do hands-on practice as much as possible. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Then we can head over to Kali Linux VM. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine. The utility I'd like to use, as always, would be Netdiscover. So now let's launch it. Press enter. So as you can see here, the last two IP addresses belong to the target machine. A bit weird. The target machine has configured two IP addresses, but this doesn't matter. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and surface scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already done that before. So now we can get out its result. Let's scroll up a bit. So as you can see here, I took the options like scene scan, default script scan, the version scan, followed by the full range port scan. The last option for all is ON to output the result into this file. Then we can retrieve scanning results whenever, just as what I'm doing now. Although you can notice here, the IP address of the target machine has been changed since I re-imported the machine into VirtualBox. So this time, different IP address has been assigned to the target machine. Anyhow, this won't affect our penetration process. From the Nmap scanning results, we can tell the target machine has two open ports. The first one, 22. The surface is SSH or secure shell surface. And also we can get the version information, including its exact version number, 8.0. Though this version is not updated, however, I don't think we can find any workable exploits. The second port, open port, is 3306. By default, this port is used by my circle. But if you take a look at the results with respect to this port number, we can tell this port doesn't have anything to do with my circle. Actually, this is HTTP service. Okay, so I think it's important to put the options of like the default script and the version scanning. Otherwise, maybe we are given the false results. So what shall we do next? We are now entering enumeration. We need to enumerate this web service or web application both manually and automatically. Let's fire up the browser to perform manual enumeration first. And we can put the IP address of the target machine into the address bar of the browser. Press enter. Also, we need to put, we should specify the port number, okay, in company with the address or URL. Press enter, and we got this site returned from the target machine. So from this page itself, we find one image and one message. So maybe this is a possible username. We can copy and note this information down to our notebook. And also we can download this image to our Kali Linux for further analysis. Unfortunately, it seems we can't download. So what's going on exactly? Under the hood, we can check its source code. So I think I have already seen the reason why we can't download the image like other images, PNG, JPEG, because this is the SVG image. This is, SVG is short for, the scalable vector graphics, okay? And maybe I've already opened this link. Yeah, SVG. So stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, used to define vector-based graphics for the web, and defines graphics in XML format. So at this point, we can guess this machine possibly has something to do with XML. XML is extensible markup language. Okay, let's go back to Kali Linux VM. So next, we can check to see whether we can access its robots file. But we are given or we are redirected to the home page. It doesn't matter. Next, we can launch Nicto to perform automatic enumeration. Oh, sorry, I forgot to specify the port number, which is 3306. Press enter again. So now Nicto starts its enumeration comprehensively. Like the banner, of course, in this case, Nicto failed to retrieve its banner, and retrieved by, this the header, Kemal, and some sort of request header. But in this case, Nicto can't give us anything important or valuable. To save time, I'd like to go ahead with GoBuster to perform directory enumeration. GoBuster directory, extension option, X, PGP, HTML, back. So now GoBuster start its directory enumeration. So GoBuster, oh, we got error. Collection. So there is some kind of problem. So what's wrong? Oh, sorry, the IP address is not this one. I misspell the IP address. So now let's hit enter key once more. Without too much time, GoBuster discovered this page, upload. Very exciting. So if you think it will be very easy for this machine because we can upload some file or like a malicious file, we can access. You will be wrong. Yeah, I'd like to say upload HTML, and we can try to choose an image to preview. In most cases, there are some kinds of controls or filters in place, adopted by the web application. So doesn't matter. We can try to upload this web shell file to the target machine. Let me browse MinU. Nothing here. So it's not. Oh, I know the reason. Browse. So as you can see here, at this moment, we didn't see the shell.php file. The reason is that there is a client-side control. I mean, the browser has implemented some sort of filters. Only SVG file can be uploaded. But as I said many times, such client-side control would be very easily bypassed. For example, we can choose all files and then we can select this one. Alternatively, we can use passwd to bypass such a filter or control. Okay, let's select upload. So I'm at the port. We are not successful. So maybe you think we can upload the image. You can, for example, choose any image. And for example, like a city image. Okay, and we can try to upload this image. Upload, but we still got the similar error, empty port. So how to do? Do you remember I mentioned earlier, this machine has a lot to do with XML. And, the SVG is XML-based technique for, displaying the image. So it's possible to utilize such XML. As I said at the very beginning, XML specification allows to define an entity which can reference to an external resource. Of course, hacker or pentester can utilize this capability to, execute a command or inject a command. Okay, for example, like what you can see over here, we can try to reference or we try to access this password file. Let me do it now. We can copy and create it locally, and this link will be put in the video below as well, so that you can reference it if you want, if you wish. Okay, so now we can vim exploit SVG, put in here. Let's write and quit. So now we can try to upload this SVG file. Upload. So this time we get the success. Upload okay, but nothing special here. Please don't go away. We can check its source code. Then you can find very, very interesting information. Actually, the file of password has been retrieved. And from here we can find one normal user, right? The ID is 1000. We can copy, maybe we can copy this entire line. So what can we do next? Because at this point, we have already know the application is vulnerable to XML, external entity injection. We need to go further. We need to exploit this vulnerability. For example, we can try to, maybe we can generate different payload to try to access the the private key, right? We can home employee. Let's write and quit, and we can do it very quickly. Upload HTML, upload, but this time failure to process entity. It means that it's not accessible. So similarly, we can create the cert payload. We can exploit and try to retrieve the log file. If we can, then we can poison the authentication log file, right? var log write and quit. So then we can upload this cert file which contains different payload, but we still get this error. And similarly, you can perform another test to check whether this application is vulnerable to remote file inclusion. To save time, I will skip this part. So how to the next? As a pen tester, we must be very careful. In some cases, we should, we can utilize such file inclusion vulnerability, like to retrieve like a command history. But here is a bit different. As you can see, this time the shell type is ASH, not bash. Okay, so we should keep this in our mind as we perform such test. Okay, let me copy, exploit. We can create the first one, exploit. We can try to retrieve the bash history. Employ ash history, write and quit. Then we can upload it one more time. Browse, upload, okay, fantastic. And then we can check its source code, and then we can get this command. And from this command, we can know this is a password for the user. Also, we know the target machine has SSH service running. So then we can SSH to the target machine with this discovered password, SSH, and employ. Oh, not. Yes. And the password. So what's the password? Yeah, this one. We can copy. It works. Beautiful. So next, we need to gather information to try to elevate privilege, right? Password. And we can run sudo not found. And we can run find command to look for suspicious binaries which have SUID bit on. Okay, start search from root directory on the machine. Perm type is a file rather than directory. and we can redirect all error to the black hole. Okay, and we can find this one. You know, micro, probably you haven't encountered this, this binary. As a matter of fact, this is editor, and I used Google to make some research, and so I think we can utilize this binary, like a nano, like a Vim, for our purpose. Okay, so how to do? Let me show you in action. We can cut out the password file, and we can copy the first line, which contains information about the root user. Okay. Next, we can create a new user. For example, the name is Jason, and next we can create password locally on Kali Linux. Sudo open SSL. This utility can support a variety of hash types, and -1 stands for MD5. You can use other types of hashes, okay? And also you can specify the sort value. You can use any sort value, right? So now we have generated the encrypted password for this user, and let me replace X with our encrypted password, and then we can copy this line entirely, and because I'm going to append this line to the password file. Okay, so how to do? Cat, we need to use pipe operator, otherwise this won't work. Okay, password user bin micro, and we can go to the last line of this file and paste it in here. Okay, and we can hit exit and save Y, and of course we want to write to the same file or original file password, and then we can try to switch the shell to root user, new user, which has root privilege. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, it does work. So now from the hashtag we can know we are successful. Beautiful. Then we can navigate to root directory to grab the flag, the any flag for this machine. I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Bye. Have a nice day, please.